If you think the Seahawks are just going to coast into 2025 with no surprises, then you are not paying attention. I'm Ethan Carter, and today's rundown is straight fire. We're talking about a rookie coming out of nowhere to be a starter, an O-line being pieced together with guys nobody was betting on, a savvy vet who might just be making a last-minute house call, and even a defensive monster emerging from the shadows of the draft. It all points to the one question that won't go away. Is this team making a bold rebuild, or are they just plugging holes and praying it works? And get this, what if the most impactful name in 2025 isn't Darnold, Kupp, or Smith and Jigba? All right, my fellow Seahawks fan, before we dive into the nitty-gritty of what's been happening this Tuesday with our team, I gotta ask you for a quick favor. If you're out there watching the Seahawks Insider Report, if you dig our analysis but you haven't subscribed yet, please do me a solid and smash that subscribe button. It is absolutely crucial for the channel and for keeping this community of 12s growing strong. Seriously, thanks so much for the support. Yeah, you heard me right. The rookie who might just save the Seahawks passing game in 2025 is a tight end. And not just any tight end. We're talking about a guy that a year ago nobody even had in their top 100 prospects. But now, with DK Metcalf gone, Lockett gone too, and a total teardown of our offensive identity, the name that's been echoing through the halls in Renton is his, Elijah Arroyo. A hybrid pass catcher forged in adversity with timing that feels like it was handwritten by destiny itself. And why does this matter so damn much? Because the new OC, Clint Kubiak, isn't going to run some cookie-cutter offense. He's building an offensive tapestry with moving parts, guys who can switch roles and create chaos. And Arroyo, according to Damian Parson from Bleacher Report, could be the invisible gear that makes the whole damn thing work. He's versatile, fluid, runs clean routes, and has reliable hands after a shaky start to camp with some drops that are now thankfully in the rear view. Arroyo is emerging as a wide end, a tight end with the mindset and movement of a wide receiver. He's the guy who can be the quick relief when the pocket collapses, the mismatch nightmare in the red zone, the safety valve that turns a broken play into an unexpected gain, and there's more. He's not coming from some cushy system. He came from basically nowhere at Miami to light it up with Cam Ward in 2024, snagging 7 touchdowns and almost 600 yards. Now he steps into an offense where Smith and Jigba and Kupp have a really similar game. Short routes, quick reads, yards after the catch. If a defense shuts that down, who's left as the creative alternative? Yep, Arroyo. And before anyone says that's just hype, let's be real. Who was the last truly productive tight end in Seattle? Zach Miller back in 2013? Jimmy Graham for a few flashes in 2016, it's been nothing but stopgaps ever since. If Arroyo hits, he changes the entire center of gravity for the offense. He could be the bridge between Darnold and the stability he's never had. He could be the piece that forces defenses to back off the box and open up the run game. He could simply be the best surprise on offense since Doug Baldwin came out of nowhere. But that just brings up another uncomfortable question. If we've got someone emerging on offense, who in the hell is actually protecting him up front on the O-line? And more importantly, why is a guy nobody expected winning battles in the trenches? This right here is going to shock a lot of people. The name getting the most buzz in the O-line drills at training camp. It's not Charles Cross, it's not Lucas, it's not even Zabel, it's Jalen Sundell. Yes, the same Sundell who came in 2024 as a UDFA, an undrafted free agent, basically a camp body, is now dominating reps as the starting right guard in 11-on-11s. And the craziest part? It might actually make perfect sense. Let's look at the facts. The Seahawks offensive line has been the recurring curse of the last decade. Pockets collapsing up the middle, missed blocks, QBs running for their lives. But in 2025, with Clint Kubiak demanding fluidity, movement, and quick chemistry, the coaching staff is looking for more than just brute force. They're looking for a vibe. And that's the key. Sundell and Zabel played together at North Dakota State. They know each other, they speak the same language, they've seen the same blitzes coming and figured it out with just a look. In a new scheme with a short installation time, that's worth its weight in gold. The most intriguing part, Sundell doesn't have a blue-chip pedigree, but he's got real-world performance. 48 snaps at center against the Packers in 2024, and he gave up 0 pressures. I'll say it again, 0. And that was in a real game, not some practice drill. It's got the coaches thinking, what if he's more reliable than Olu Oluwademi, who still hasn't looked convincing, or even more adaptable than Anthony Bradford, who bounces between solid games and catastrophic failures. During drills, Sundell has been rotating between center and right guard, but he's been sticking at guard more and more. And that's no accident. The idea seems to be, keep the strength of Cross and Lucas on the ends, bet on Zabel's raw talent on the left, and build cohesion with Sundell on the right. A young line, sure, but one that could surprise people if it actually gels into a real unit. But here's the risk. Cohesion is important, but raw talent still matters. If Sundell gets wrecked by elite pass rushers, Darnold is gonna feel it. And one mistake in protection could erase any shine from the trio of Smith and Jigba, Kupp, and Arroyo. Now, tell me this. What if this bold bet on the O-line's youth is just the start of a bigger philosophy? A philosophy that mixes surgical experience with aggressive youth. Because if the line needs chemistry and the offense needs stability, the defense is crying out for leadership. And maybe, just maybe, that's why a veteran with a playoff resume is knocking on Seattle's door. You know that type of player you don't really notice until he's gone? The guy who won't be on the cover of a magazine, but he changes the entire attitude of a defense with one smart read or one perfectly timed call? Well, the name that fits that profile, the one echoing through the halls in Renton, is Kendall Fuller. And no, this isn't some empty mid-season rumor. We're talking about a cornerback with 9 years in the NFL under his belt. An absolute lock as a starter for the Commanders through the end of 2024. He's available, and he's a perfect schematic fit for the system Aiden Dirty is trying to build with the Seahawks. The question is, why hasn't he been signed yet? Fuller is that classic Tier 2 veteran that Seattle has always ignored. He's not a Pro Bowl star every year, but he delivers consistency, versatility, and, maybe the most important thing right now, a refined understanding of coverage. In a hybrid system that's going to blend zone and man coverage fluidly like the one Dirty is designing, having someone who gets angles, routes, and coverage swaps in real time can be the difference between a defense that communicates and, well, chaos disguised as talent. And look who's in that secondary right now. Spoon, Rick Woolen, Demarion Williams, all talented, all young, all aggressive, but they're also all prone to busted coverages and communication breakdowns. We saw the gaping holes in the middle of the field all last season. Fuller might not have the top-end physical burst of a CB1 anymore, but he makes up for it with anticipation, positioning, and most importantly, a voice on the field. In 2025, with a new system being installed and all the pressure on the front seven to make an immediate impact, adding a guy like him could stabilize the entire secondary and fast-track the development of the young guns. The contract? It'd be flexible. Something in the ballpark of $6 to $7 million with performance incentives. The cap space is there. The potential impact? Way, way bigger than the number on the payroll. And between us, what would be more symbolic than seeing a guy with postseason experience ready to quietly lead a new defensive era get at it at this exact moment of transition? But here's the final hook. If Fuller is the old wolf who can organize the back end, the defensive front still has its own question marks, especially up the gut. And that is exactly why the Seahawks' latest signing is a name you barely know, but with athletic numbers that defy all logic. Have you ever heard of Thor Griffith? No? Well, you better get ready, because his name could just explode onto the scene, just like his bull rush right through the A-gap. The Seahawks just signed the former defensive tackle from Louisville, a guy who got completely ignored in the 2025 draft, but who could become that classic diamond in the rough find amidst the chaos of the offseason. And I am not exaggerating. Thor isn't just a mythological name, he's also one of the most insane athletes to come out of college football in years. During his time at Harvard, Griffith posted physical numbers that were just nuts. 45 reps on the 225-pound bench press, a 4.95-second 40-yard dash with a 1.65 10-yard split, numbers that rival first-round picks. But this athletic freak just slipped through the cracks of the draft because he had a modest year of production at Louisville. Modest but not useless. 21 tackles, 6 for a loss, 3 sacks, and a forced fumble in 13 games. And remember, he was a rookie in that system, coming from an Ivy League school that doesn't exactly prep guys for the Power 5. Now think about this. The Seahawks signed him as a UDFA after minicamp. They didn't sign him just to be nice. They signed him for his upside. Thor Griffith has explosion off the snap, torque in his arms, and enough balance to play nose tackle or 3-tech, depending on the alignment. And with the current interior rotation still a total toss-up, with guys like Jaron Reed and Cameron Young fighting for consistency, why not take a shot on a dude who combines elite physical traits with proven production at Harvard and interesting flashes at Louisville? Aiden Durda's defense is going to demand penetration up the middle. No more stationary tackles just eating up space. And if Griffith can translate that raw athleticism into real production in this system, he could easily steal snaps by the preseason. And let's be real. How many times have we seen guys who were nobodies on paper become absolute cornerstones? Who remembers Michael Bennett showing up without any fanfare and becoming an anchor on that defensive line? Or Poona Ford coming out of nowhere to be a starter for years? Griffith could be the next guy in that lineage. But of course, if all this comes together, the one question that echoes is this team finding these pieces by sheer luck, or are they following some audacious secret plan? Because when the foundation of your roster starts getting built so far off the traditional script, something bigger might be getting built in silence. Look closer. None of these moves are happening in a vacuum. They're all pieces on a chessboard, being moved in silence. An explosive rookie getting his shot, an unlikely lineman being tested as a starter, a veteran on the verge of balancing out a young defense, and an athletic monster emerging from the shadows. This isn't coincidence. It's a pattern. But is it a pattern that points toward evolution, or is it desperation disguised as boldness? Is the 2025 Seahawks team forging a new DNA, or are they just stacking a bunch of bets based on faith? And you, the fan who saw the Legion of Boom rise and fall, are you seeing a rebirth or just a rehash? Drop a comment below. Your take is part of our story.